We speed run the offseason with summoning salt on today's Locked On Sharks.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Locked On NHL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. And today we are joined by the YouTuber, the great YouTuber, and also big time Sharks fan, Summoning Salt, where we kind of speed run through the off season. We talk about the draft, talk about which free agency moves we like and we disliked. Spoiler, Ryan Reaves. And then we talk about the 25-26 season and if there's kind of setting a little bit of expectations for it. So before we get to all that, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. And now we bring in the one and only Summoning Salt. Noted Sharks fan, also does some YouTube thing on the side. I don't know. But Summoning Salt, buddy, how's it going?
What's up, JD? Thanks for having me, man. It's nice to be back. I can't wait.
Yes, I know you were on way back in the cool Erik Karlsson, like 100-point season, and then I don't know. We just went 100% in the tank. And now that the Sharks are maybe starting to turn things around a little bit, I thought it'd be a fun time. And it's also the middle of the offseason. So why not have a celebrity amongst the internet community on to talk about Sharks? So we're going to kind of just run through the Sharks offseason, go back and forth on what we thought of it. And of course, I think we have to start with the draft. So let me start. Were you one of the oh God, he's going to screw this up and not pick Michael Misa? How are you feeling going into the draft?
I mean, I feel like I was pretty much in the same boat with most people where I was pretty sure it was going to be Misa up until the day before the draft. And then it was like, is this not happening? Are we not getting Misa? And then draft morning, it was like, okay, I think it's going to be Misa. So, I mean, I was certainly hoping for Misa the whole time. That was the obvious pick to me if Schaefer wasn't there, and just have a completely stacked forward group. And I'm pretty happy it happened. Were you worried that it wasn't going to be Misa too, or where were you at?
I was the day before. I kind of had a weird feeling it might not be Misa, it might be Frontel, but I was very much on the Misa train. And then, kind of talking to because I was down in LA, I was talking to a lot of people and stuff. And everybody I was talking to were like, I don't know, man. I don't know what my career is doing here. And I mean, the nice thing from a content creator perspective is it gave you a lot of content to talk about because it wasn't a slam dunk, oh, it's going to be Michael Misa, which was nice. But it did feel like a whole song and dance just to get to the inevitable. We're just picking Michael Misa because he's the best player on the board and arguably could be the best player in this draft. I love Matthew Schaefer, but there's a legitimate argument that Misa could be a better player. So I was very much relieved as we kind of got closer. As we got closer to the actual draft, I felt like it was Misa, but 100% was definitely kind of sweating it a little bit. Do have to shout out the Chicago fans kind of doing the fake Sharks accounts, so the Fondell thing. Absolutely hilarious, 100% hilarious. Glad to see that it kind of worked out the way it did, though. We talked a lot, kind of going into it. The Sharks need more right-handed defensemen. Were you a little surprised, like I was, when you heard Joshua Ravensbergen called at number 30 there, especially with some of the names on the board?
Yeah, I mean, that was the last thing I was expecting. So at the time, I remember I was texting a friend, and I was like, what are we doing? Why would we do this? Are we just going to be pissing off Askarov? What? Why? We're just taking another goalie in the first round? And then, as the night went on, and then the next day, I thought about it a bit more. And then, everyone online was like, "This is such a good pick because he's, there's not Askarov's not a sure deal." And then even if he is, there's nothing wrong with having two good goalies because you can just trade one. So, was I surprised? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I get it. And there's nothing wrong with having two good goalies in your system, because you'll see one of them might not work out. Goalies are voodoo. There's no there's no guarantees with goaltenders. And yeah, I mean, we could just flip one of them if we have to. So it does make sense, because he was probably, his value was a lot higher than where we drafted him. And I can tell from like these last 2 or 3 drafts, Greer is a big fan of just best player available no matter what. Like, don't even think about what position they play, just best player available, take him. So like in hindsight, it's like, yeah, that maybe was a bit of a more obvious pick than we were all thinking at the time. But yeah, in the moment, it was like not at all what anyone was expecting, I don't think.
Yeah, I was also shocked, especially seeing like Brusevich on the board, Fiddler, who I thought was like an extremely Mike Greer type of player. But as you said, right, he's going to pick who the best player. And that is how you should draft, right? You should pick who you think is going to be the best player, regardless of floor, ceiling, etc. And Mike Greer, he swung for the fences with all these picks. And Joshua Ravensbergen, like you said, right, it's not the worst thing in the world to have 2 good goalies in your pipeline, because Askarov, I think the world of Askarov, I think Askarov's been very good, but I mean, we see this season is going to eventually turn to 84 games, and just goalies nowadays just don't play as many games as they used to, and you're going to need someone who can at least start 30 to 35 games most likely, and then you get to the playoffs, right? And you need to have 2 guys who you feel really comfortable about it. And yes, I know Ravensbergen is a guy who we're probably not going to see for a long, long time, but still, like you said, a trade piece. And you saw what Nashville got for Askarov, right? A first round pick, and then a first round draft pick, plus some other stuff, or first round prospects. Sorry, excuse me. Like, you can get a really nice bit of stuff for Ravensbergen, or if you trade him for a NHL player when the Sharks kind of get to that point. So what other picks? I mean, I know the Wong one was a little bit surprising too, but kind of doing my deep dive, like, I'm all on board on watching on him. I think the kid's gonna be really good. It's gonna take a while, but I think the kid's gonna be really good.
Yeah, well, I want to say one more thing about the goalie situation. The odds that both of these guys are going to turn into like good starters, like it sounds great. Hopefully it happens. The odds that both of them are actually like number 1 starters, though, it's probably not as likely as Sharks fans are going to think. Yeah. And even if it does happen, think about the Montreal Canadiens, like 15, 20 years ago. You have Carey Price and Jaro Halak, both young goaltenders, both really good. They both were actually developing super well. Well, that situation worked out okay, because they just traded Halak and then they had Price, and their goaltending was fine. So yeah, I'm not too worried about it. Going on to Ho-Shi Wang, another one I was very surprised by, just because I was not really familiar with his name, because there are a lot of other names that I've been hearing, like on your podcast, on other podcasts, from people who seem like they were more likely to be drafted. But I mean, I get it. Like, I don't know if I would have picked him, but obviously there's a lot of intrigue there, like the size, the raw talent.
You can't teach size, dude. That skating is,
I've never heard people say the word raw in a hockey context more than about this Ho-Shi Wang pick. It's like every single person's describing him the same way. He even describes himself the same way. It's pretty funny. I've seen him say that in a few interviews. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. Like, it's an interesting move. It could pay off. I don't know. Like, I'm more curious your thoughts on it, because I feel like you probably knew at least something about him going into the draft, whereas I had never even heard his name before. So
yeah, I mean, I think for kind of, especially, I was a little bit surprised again, with what was kind of left on the board there. And I thought maybe the Sharks might go for a little bit more kind of sure thing, right? Especially with a guy like Fiddler who was there. And I thought that would, like I said, I thought that was a very Mike Greer type of player. But with Ho-Shi Wang, it does remind me a lot of Shakir Mukhamadullin, where this is a player who's going to need time to develop, right? He just needs more reps and playing against tougher competition, right? A guy who hasn't really faced a lot of tough competition, but even watching him in his limited time in the OHL, right? He played half a season, and the steps he made from the beginning to the steps he made, you saw a huge development there. And he's going to spend the next season in the OHL and then going to go play in college with at Boston. Like, I think this is a really great path for him to, as he kind of continually is going to be ramping up his competition, right? He's not going to kind of get stale where he gets stuck in the OHL, or he's going to, like we saw with Dickinson and we saw with Musty. I think it's going to take time. Like, don't expect Wong to be in the lineup here the next like 2 or 3 years. But I have a feeling this pick is going to pay dividends because of what his size and his ability to move along the back end. I think it's going to free up players like a Luca Cagnoni, or if you have a more offensive kind of leaning defenseman. Wong is so good at kind of covering and helping out these guys because of, again, his ability to just get from point A to point B so quickly and so efficiently. And I think it's going to kind of be an eraser, right? You kind of go back to with Brent Burns. Kind of reminds me of the same thing. Just Brent Burns he's so big and he's so fast. He can move so well. Like, yes, he maybe not the greatest technician, and we saw the starfish and stuff like that. But like, again, you can't find guys like that all the time who are just such great athletes. And I think Wong is such a great athlete that once he gets the reps under him, like, you're going to see why the Sharks drafted him. So I think, again, long-term picture, Wong could be a guy kind of entering the fray as the Sharks are starting to kind of hit that, hopefully starting to contend a little bit more, a contention window, we'll say. I think it's going to be a pick that works out really well for them.
I hope it gets good at the starfish. I want to see that. You're making the Brent Burns comparison. Like,
Wong starfish. Oh, it would be great.
Sick, yes. Man. I love it.
Yes. All right, before we get to free agency with Summoning Salt, we talk about some of the moves that we liked, some of the ones that we didn't like. Just need to take a quick break. We've all been there logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show that you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime. You can save up to 60% off with killer last-minute deals. My wife, of course, grew up a huge Backstreet Boys fan. Getting to go see them in Vegas, got to use Game Time to get tickets. Her and her girlfriend looking for the perfect seats, of course, right? With the Sphere, you want to see as much as you can with the screen. Great with the Game Time with the panoramic seat view. You know exactly what your seats are going to look like. So take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Let's move on to free agency, which, going into free agency, we knew the Sharks had $1 bajillion to spend. I think especially after the first day of free agency, the Sharks fans maybe a little bit like, what are we doing here? But which I think is fair to say. But I think Mike Grier, like, overall, now we're kind of a couple weeks from it, had a solid, maybe not super sexy, but I think he had a solid free agency. What do you think so far?
So my thoughts on it, there was an article that Sheng Peng wrote that really resonated with how I was feeling. So I'm kind of repeating his words here, but the individual moves, other than the one obvious Ryan Reaves one that everyone's scratching their heads about, every other individual move, I liked it. Like, I thought there were a lot of good signings, but when you look at it as a whole, I'm like, okay, this team is definitely better than they were at the end of last year, because that was a train wreck. Are they better than they were, though, when they had Wallman and CC on defense and Granlund and Zetterlund in the offense and Mackenzie Blackwood in net? I mean, maybe slightly, just because Celebrini, Smith, Eklund, all the young guys are probably going to be taking a step up. But, look, we added on offense here Skinner, Kurashev, Gaudette, Ryan Reaves, thank God. On defense, Orlov, Klingberg, Leddy, and then Nedeljkovic in net. Like, are those guys going to make up for the difference of not having Granlund and CC, all the guys I just mentioned? Like, I don't know. I think it's going to be close, and you're just hoping that the young guys take a step forward. But I think they will probably be better than last year, but I don't know. The signings as a whole, I guess I was hoping for a little bit of a bigger splash. And instead, it's like, yeah, Skinner's good, Kurashev's good, Gaudette is good. I don't know. Which of those did you think was the best move?
I like the Orlov move a lot. I know there was some, he might be losing a little bit of a step here, right? But I think he's better than, I do think he's better than kind of anything actually the Sharks had on the back end last year, including Jake Wallman and Cody Ceci. If Cody Ceci is your sixth defenseman, that's fine. Remember, he's like the Sharks' first pairing defenseman, and it was a bit of a mess last year. He's the one I really like, and I really do think that he's going to kind of just bring a professionalism to the back end with the blue line there. Klingberg is definitely the wild card of especially looking at the blue line, where if he gets anywhere close to how he was in his Dallas days, which is like 1,000 years ago, that feels like a signing that could work out really well. But we've seen he's been injury prone the last couple of years and hasn't really kind of been that guy. And of course, with him, it's very much all gas, no brakes. And I know that's going to probably bother a lot of people with his style of play. But defenses for nerds go score goals, which this team definitely needs to score more goals. So among the forwards, I actually like the Skinner one a lot because I think it's a cheap signing. I think he's going to come in. I think he's going to score 20 to 25 goals. And again, the Sharks just need more players who can score goals like him. And we've seen him on bad teams play a bunch of, the Sabres teams play a bunch of minutes and score a bunch of goals not that long ago. And I think he's going to be in a similar situation. I think a lot of people don't look at he didn't do much last year with Edmonton. It was he's playing third or fourth line minutes and on a very good team, and it kind of wasn't maybe used to that type of role. I think he's going to get back to his more natural role of playing top 6 minutes. I think he'll be able to kind of produce. So I think the Skinner one and the Orlov ones are the two of my favorite moves for my grid this year. And again, Orlov signed to 2 years and Skinner signed 1 year at $3 million. And if they don't work out, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean, so with Skinner, I would agree of the offensive signings. That was probably my favorite one. The thing is, year to year, you don't know what Jeff Skinner you're going to get. I mean,
that is very true.
This guy scored 40 goals and then 2 years later had 14 points or something. I mean, and then he rebounded and he did better. And then the last couple years, he's kind of his role has been diminished. And once again, his point total, his production is sliding again. So are we getting the true decline of Jeff Skinner? It's just going to keep going down, or are we going to get another rebound? I mean, I don't know. I think you could make arguments both ways. He is getting older, but also he's going to be getting way more minutes on this team, and he might be playing with some good players. I mean, he might be playing with Celebrini, Smith, Eklund. We'll see where they end up putting him. I don't know. And then the Orlov signing, I agree. That's definitely the most interesting one on the back end. We're probably going to be playing him a little too much. I mean, he's going to be 22 minutes a night.
He's the Sharks' number one defenseman, right? Yeah, he's easily the Sharks' number one defenseman. And I do think the Leddy one too. I mean, I know getting him for free. I know he was injured last year and he didn't look great last year. But if he's back to being healthy, I think that's another solid. Again, just a professional defenseman. He's better than Jan Ruda. He's better than Marko Vlasic. He's better than Henry Thrun. I do think. Again, it's not some incremental jumps here, but I do think the guys they have they're really kind of better than what they had last year, right? Would you rather have Nick Leddy or would you rather have Cody Ceci? Because I'm taking Nick Leddy, right? Would you rather have Orlov or, but I don't know. I think Nick Leddy, I'm willing to pass off last year because of the injury, and I think he maybe got rushed back a little from there. So I want to see what he's fully healthy. And then Mukka Madulin hopefully taking the next step. And if Sam Dickinson's in the mix, and we think Sam Dickinson is as good as we think Sam Dickinson is going to be, and maybe Ferraro and Liljegren, one of those guys gets shipped out as well. If you squint, you can see maybe there's some improvements on the blue line, and I think having some improvements on the blue line and some consistency in net, which we'll talk more about here in the 25-26 section. I think you'll see some improvements there. But what move? I assume we both have to say, well, which one were you just what are we doing, bro?
I mean, it's got to be Ryan Reaves. Here's really my problem with the Ryan Reaves move. I get that it's something that we don't have, And I don't think it's really going to be a huge deal either way.
Yeah.
My problem is that this is kind of a problem we sort of had last year too, is that we have like 8 or 9
the same exact dude. Yes.
Players. And it's like, I'd kind of like to see Colin Graff and Ethan Cardwell get some playing time. I'll be honest. Like, I think they've developed pretty well. And instead, it's like, in addition to those guys, we have, and I'm not saying all these guys shouldn't be in the bottom 6, but like, we also have Wenberg, Gaudette, Goodrow, Dellandrea, Grunstrom, Reeves, all like going to be fighting for a job. And I guess it's not the worst thing to have them fighting for a job. I worry that we have Dellandrea signed, he's going to play, and we have Goodrow signed, he's going to play. I'm worried that they're going to be blocking jobs from these younger guys who I'd really like to see get some chances to play on this team. So I get the Reeves signing to an extent, or the Reeves trade to an extent, but it's like, I don't know why, I guess.
Yeah.
That's especially what I'm left with.
Yeah. And it's again, like you hear from Toronto, like the majority of Toronto fans were like, thanks, dude. Like you did us a solid here, basically getting him off of our roster, because he just doesn't provide what I think a lot of people think he provides. And I think he's, like you said, he's most likely keeping a guy from like Graff or Cardwell or whomever. I do think Graff's, I feel like Graff's, unless he has a horrible camp, I feel like he's a lock to make the team, but still like there's, I just think he's too good. I think the coaching staff really likes him, especially his versatility and the way he plays PK. I do think like he might be one of their best PKers already, and he's played like one full season. So, but anyway, like with Reeves, though, like, he plays 8 minutes a night. He, glares at people on the bench and, whatever. Most likely he's probably going to be waived at some point and playing in the AHL. And if he's your Scott Sabrin, like in the AHL, cool, man. Like that's fine. Where I think it's a little bit more rough and tumble down there. But yeah, the Reeves one, I got a lot of, you're an idiot, you've never played the game, et cetera, when I disliked the Reeves one. But whatever, man. Just remember how everyone felt about Barclay Goodrow coming back, and they're like, man, this is great, Barclay Goodrow. And then we saw Barclay Goodrow play hockey. We're like, oh my God, what has happened here? It's going to be the same thing.
I almost wish we could just have Reeves in the locker room and then just not really play at all, because I feel like he's probably a great locker room guy. But like, do we really want him
healthy
playing?
Scratch? Yeah.
Do we really want him playing more than like 5 games this year? Like, probably not. So yeah, I hope, exactly like you said, I hope we send him to the AHL and he is great down there, because the AHL team actually had some big losses this year. So if he could help them, that'd be great. I don't know how much he's going to be scoring, but they're the intangibles, right? That's why you get Ryan Reaves. So
that's the intangibles, and to keep protect the children, apparently. So, all right, before we continue with Somebody Salt, we talk about the 25-26 season and why there might be some reasons for hope, at least when it comes to the wins and losses column. Just need to take a quick break. Exactly. We kind of started touching on it, but 25-26. I know, like, Futures Teal, et cetera, you kind of, mentioned, like, how much better is this team going to be? And we were talking a little bit beforehand, and I know you're a little like, I don't know if it's going to be much better. And again, I think I'm in the, like, I think there's going to be a jump. Again, maybe they're like, this team is not a playoff team, et cetera. I don't think they're going to be a driving seat of the McKenna sweepstakes either. But how are you feeling as we're, I guess a month out from training camp?
I think that they are probably in a similar position to where they were the first half of last year, and definitely better than the second half. But
yes,
so here's the thing: I made my point projections for how I think they're going to do, but this is assuming they don't trade anyone at the trade deadline. It's that's probably not going to happen. There's all these guys on 1 year.
There's always Mike Greer loves himself a trade, so
yeah. So I have 65 points, which would be a decent step up, but is that actually likely to happen if they're going to be trading guys? Probably not. So I don't know, if they can reach even 60 points, that is a step up from last year. Mm-hmm. But is it really a step up in the standings, like, okay, maybe they'll be second to last. I guess that's an improvement. But really where I'm at with this team is just we want the young guys to take a step forward, and I'm sure they, most of them will. I am just skeptical that other than that is really going to be better than what we had last year. And I think the team's kind of going to, like, if they end up going past that and they get like 70, 75 points or more, it's going to be because like Askarov's a beast or Celebrini is like beyond a point per game player or something like crazy like that. Otherwise, like maybe Skinner could go off and get 35 goals, but I doubt it. Maybe Khrushchev can go back to how it was 2 years ago, but the odds of more than like one of those things happening is very unlikely. So I see like a small step up from last year, but not much at all, unfortunately.
So it's funny you mentioned the kind of like the beginning of the season. If you take out the time Celebrini, like the beginning of the season when Celebrini got hurt, right? That first kind of 10, 11 games. So if you start from November 1st through the Blackwood trade, which is this December 9th. So it's about 5 or 6 weeks. Small sample size in the hockey world, right? But still, during that time, your San Jose Sharks, 18 games, they went 7-8-3, so that's 17 points in that time, and they were averaging 0.94 points per game. So that would, like, if they're anywhere close to that range, you're looking at like a 65, 70 point season. And again, like Blackwood was absolutely outstanding. I don't think Askarov is going to be that, but
compare him to Georgiev.
But if you compare him to Georgiev after that,
there's a big difference there.
Just completely different there. And I think if Askarov is just like league average is going to be huge for the Sharks. Like just being league average compared to Georgiev, where again you feel like you have to score 5 goals a game to win the game, I think will be a big boost. And like I know he's going to have some ups and downs, Askarov, but the expectation is right by the end of the season he's hopefully going to be better than at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And Nedeljkovic, if he's a wash for Vitek Vanacek, okay, like if that's, I think that's like if you look at their advanced stats, they both played on bad teams last year. Like Nedeljkovic put up pretty solid advanced stats on a bad Penguins team that also had no defense. And yes, you are banking a lot on growth between Celebrini and Smith and these guys, but like Smith was awesome at the end of the season. I know he's probably going to be playing center now, so there might be some learning curve there, but and I think Skinner, can Skinner do anywhere close to what Zetterlund did last year? Is that a fair, maybe?
I don't know. I feel like in a way they're kind of similar types of players. I wanted to talk about Will Smith, actually. I wanted to see what you thought about him because I am torn because on the one hand, there's part of me that seems like he would be a candidate to have like a sophomore slump because he was definitely up and down a bit last year. A lot better at the end, of course. And then we're going to try having him play center, and I'm sure we'll move him off of it if it doesn't work. But I do feel like that could be tough for him, and it might shatter his confidence a little bit. So to me, it seems like he could be the type to have a sophomore slump. And on the other hand, you look at the second half of his season, he was like almost point per game. So he might get...
Which Will Smith do we get is the big question, right? Yes.
Exactly. What do you think about that?
I lean more toward, because if you watch Will Smith everywhere he's gone, right? It's taken him a little bit of time. If you go back to Boston College, even though he's playing with the same, when Perreault and Leonard, like it took him a little bit of time to adjust, right? And we know the Sharks, especially, like we're going to keep the training wheels on. We have the development days. And a lot of fans were like, this is dumb. What are you doing? He's a professional athlete, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Well, it turns out maybe Mike Greer, the coaching staff, kind of knew what they're doing because, like you said, right, he had 30 points in 34 games to end the season. And I think we will get something closer to, I don't think he's a point per game player, but I think we get something closer to that because I think of the confidence level. And I think the Sharks actually have potentially six real top 6 forwards now between Eklund, Celebrini, Toffoli, Smith, Skinner, and I feel like I'm missing somebody, but I'm totally missing somebody. Like I said, Eklund, Toffoli, Celebrini,
Misa.
Misa, maybe Misa's in there. I think Khrushchev or I think can play a top 6 and it's not going to be the end of the world for him. But I think they have just more players, and I know they don't have Mikael Granlund, and I think you would easily take Mikael Granlund over those guys, or even if they play Wenberg there, like if Wenberg's your 2C and you put Smith on the wing. I think they have. I think the other thing that's big is just I think the third line's gonna be a lot better this year. With guys like Gaudette and with Khrushchev and Colin Graf, compared to what the Sharks rolled out last year at the third line, right? Wenberg struggled a lot at the beginning of the season because he had no wingers. And then if Chernyshov or Lund both get promoted at some point in the middle of the season, as we kind of expect these guys to, I think there's just more real, legitimate options for them to get actual scoring in which is the team just sucks at scoring and they need to score more goals. So, but yeah, I think that 65-point mark is probably where I'm circling. But again, this is a team that scored 50 points last year. And then you also look at how this team performed in a lot of close games, right? How many games were they winning by a goal with 10 minutes left? They end up losing that. If they cut that in half, that's another massive jump there as well. And I think there's just going to be some regression to the mean when it comes to that. So, yes, again, it's a slow process, but I think there is a lot of things that you can point to actually help. So even not having Mackenzie Blackwood kind of stand on his head for the first chunk of the season, I think there's just going to be more consistent. We'll say hopefully more consistent goaltending that compared to what we saw at the end of the season. So a little bit of hope, buddy. A little bit of hope
has to be.
All right. We're way far out. Give me your Celebrini prediction. How many points does he have this season?
I actually wrote that down here.
Oh, what do you got? What do you got?
I have him
7,000 points.
I have him just under a point per game, and I'm saying 81 points in 82 games.
I'll take that. I think we would all happily take that.
Trust in this guy right here, okay? He is the future, and any rebuilding team, honestly, is lucky to get a number 1 overall pick. Think of Detroit. And we got one, so he's the guy, man. I'm psyched.
And I feel like we got a really special one. Not just any number 1 pick. I feel like we got a really special one. So
we did not get Mail Yakupov. We got Macklin Celebrini.
So yeah, I will take Celebrini. All right, somebody sold. What are you working on? What do you got coming out soon for all the fans?
Another video should be coming early September. Another VHS tape because I know all the fans are excited about that. Coming probably a month after that. So just getting into the grind.
Awesome. I'm enjoying my time off before I get back into the grind as well. So where can the people, if you don't know who Summoning Salt is, where can the people find you really quick? So
so you can just find me, type in Summoning Salt to YouTube. I'm also on Twitter. I don't post there that often, but the main thing is YouTube. That's where I post my speedrunning videos. So,
all right, buddy. Appreciate you so much. We'll hopefully check again soon. So thanks. Enjoy the rest of your summer. And again, Askarov way better than Georgiev. That's what we're banking on.
Just a bit. Yeah. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. All right, guys. I do want to, of course, thank Summoning Salt for jumping on, talking about Sharks, kind of going through the offseason here and stuff. I do, like I said, I think there's plenty of signs to point to why I think Sharks will see some improvement this upcoming year. Is it going to be a massive jump? Probably not, but 65 points compared to 15-point jump. I think that would be a nice jump for San Jose. So, but again, thanks to Summoning Salt. Go check out his videos on YouTube. Go subscribe to him. Of course, puts out literally legendary stuff, and some VHS tapes. How cool is that? So, but we'll be back later on this week. You're getting 4 episodes from me this week. So make sure you follow along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Until later. Bye, friends.